How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Good.
Well, you're part of Do Not Disturb. It's a new movie. It's made up of five separate stories that are tied together. Tell me a little bit about your role in that.
Well, I did the fifth and final story. It's called Death Takes a Holiday Inn, and I was kind of served the kind of closing act, of course. So kind of wraps up the story a little bit. It's a kind of a sister film to the one before it, Intrinsic by John Mankrieger, and basically what happens in the story is that I am left with two dead bodies and the maid, and she basically gets a little bit of a I don't know, a little bit of a spook
Right.
from some ghosts.
I want to talk a little bit about that. I know you said it that it kind of feeds off of the story before it, Intrinsic. Did you know? I mean, how much did y'all collaborate, you and John, or how much did you know about the previous story?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, I didn't know John from the beginning, but we met up a few times and kind of just talked a little bit. I mean, the mood is very, very different. His is very comedic, and
Right.
mine is more dramatic.
Right.
But that was something we kind of talked about, is trying to keep the tone the same, at least, the visual tone, and then from there, kind of still do our own thing.
What attracted you to the project as a whole? How did you get involved?
Well, I've known Molly for quite a while. I actually casted her in my first feature that I directed, and that was years and years ago. And kind of lost contact, and she just approached me about it, and the exciting thing about it was that there was five directors. I love that idea. I love the idea of having, five different minds come together to make one, quote unquote cohesive story that goes, has a through line to it. But those are really neat concepts. And, a very, very short turnaround time. It was kind of in and out real fast, and a real challenge.
Right.
I like that a lot.
Well, I was going to ask what was that like? You filmed your segment, like each director filmed their segment in a day. How difficult was that? Or
it was very stressful. I actually come from. I work as a production designer, but I also direct music videos.
Oh.
And so that's also the same kind of thing where it's a lot of kind of in and out very, very fast. So I was fairly used to it, but of course when you're doing narrative drama, it's a little bit harder because you're trying to get some performances and that kind of thing.
Right.
But luckily, we had some really, really great actors who were really just down for anything. There were no questions, there were no anything. It was just like, whatever you need us to do, we'll do it right here, right now. And that was probably the most important thing, was just cooperation across the board.
Did you know, you knew going in that you'd be given just one day?
Yeah, I mean, she brought it up to me saying that it was definitely going to be a super low budget thing, and that definitely always means
Right.
No time and not many resources. So it was something that I was pretty aware of for a while, and then when it became a day, it was like a little bit shocking, but also exciting. Again, it's like the nature of the project. That's what makes it so charming, I think, is that everyone did have this amount of time, and it's kind of part of it. It's a rule,
Right. Well, did that play a part at all into your storyline, like the direction you took with your part?
Yeah, definitely. You definitely have to, you can't be too ambitious when you have that much time. This is actually the first time I've actually written something. I've written small things, but nothing that's really even matters. This is the first time I've really written a short that's been actually carried through in a serious way. And you have to really think about, like, okay, like, what can we pull off in this amount of time? I have a hard time kind of curbing myself, and I always kind of go for the more grandiose ideas if I can.
Right.
So it was really just trying to find the balance of how to, get a bold idea in a very short amount of time.
Well, one more question. How does this compare to other things that you've done, like Desert Sun, which I know is on Netflix?
You know what? They're very, very different, of course.
Right.
and that's actually a great thing. I'd never want to do the same thing twice. In comparison to the future, that is, I mean, it's a future, but it's also a short, so
Right.
comparing the two is a little bit tough just because, one took 27 days to shoot and the other
Right.
took one.
Right.
But again, it's, you're still shooting a film, and there's still all of those parts that are gonna come in that are that go across the board. Filmmaking is filmmaking. This one was on a soundstage, so it was much more controlled, which is always nice. I like working on sound stages. Desert Sun was all completely on location. That's probably the biggest differing factor.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Pleasure.